Bonjour everyone, my name is Melina and welcome to Gorgeously Vintage Atelier. Since most of you probably know me from Instagram, I will make this introduction short. I am a vintage style sewist that is obsessed with fashion history, and I like to recreate garments that are a mix and match of different fashion era. So please subscribe and follow along if you're interested in my dressmaking journey. Make sure to check my previous videos on Instagram and Facebook about my previous project if you are curious about them. But from now on, I will document everything here on YouTube with more details and more tips and tricks if you're interested in that. The first project on my YouTube channel will be a fun one. So today we are making a Selkie inspired dress. I don't know if you have seen it on TikTok. It's everywhere. It's the big dress with poofy sleeves, high waist empire waistline, and with the big skirt. It's like a princess fairy tale dress. I'm sure you have already seen it, and since I saw it, it's always been in the back of my mind, and I knew I needed to make one. And I was lucky enough to discover an amazing creator on TikTok. Her name is Selkie, and she actually recreated the pattern of this dress. It's sold on her Etsy page, so if you want to purchase your own, please go along and encourage this creator. She's very good. I will put the description in the link. I will put the link in the description below to buy your pattern. This is the pattern I will use today, and it has all the good stuff. It has the puff sleeves and the skirt. If you know me, you know I love a good poofy sleeve and full skirts. I had this dress in the back of my mind for a while, and today is finally the day I make myself one. I'm really excited to get started, so now let's get to sewing! So for this project, as I said, I wanted to have something very poofy, very fluffy, and the perfect fabric for that is either silk, organza, or tulle. And when I went to Fabricville the other day, I stumbled upon a huge rack of Valentine's Day fabric, and this fabric was in the rack and I couldn't help myself. I couldn't resist. It's so pretty. It's black tulle with red velvet heart, and it's so soft and it's so fun. I got 6 meters of it to make the perfect poofy dress and feel my fantasy with it, and just be twirling around in her heart dress. And I think it's going to be so cute. I can't wait to make it. So I'm going to line it with black satin just to make sure that it's not transparent. And I will use the puff dress Danielle pattern. It's an indie pattern I found on Etsy. I will put you the link in the description if you want to encourage her. The pattern looks very nice. The reviews are very good. I'm excited to try it out. Let's sew. I'm excited to start. I will cut all my pattern pieces on a double layer of tulle, and I will repeat the same thing with the black satin fabric. Since those fabrics are very thin, you need to be careful when pinning and make sure that you have sharp pins so it doesn't tear the fabric away. Surprisingly, the pattern pieces were holding well on the fabric. It was very easy to cut. I think it's because of the flock velvet heart on the tulle. It was like holding the fabric to each other. Now let's get starting with this project. I am now assembling the side front and the front together as at the bust princess line. So you see me pinning very carefully all the pieces together. Now time to pass it through the machine. I was really stressed with sewing tulle with my industrial machine because it's such a thin fabric, and with holes I was afraid that the machine will eat it. I think it's because of the velvet flocked art. It was giving some stability to the fabric. So now I am sewing the two front seams, the princess seams on the bust. It's pretty straightforward. I will do the same thing for the satin lining. As you can see, I am repeating the same steps for the satin lining. We have to be careful with satin, it's so slippery and the pins can shift while sewing, so I'm putting way more pins than I usually do on this. I have now assembled the lining and the fashion fabric. I will now clip my curves on the each bust line seams, so the curve of the bust sits nicely on the bust. It won't pucker or bunch or anything. I am repeating the same thing for the fashion fabric of the dress with the tulle. Even if it's a pretty malleable fabric, I like to clip all my curves to make sure that it lays flat and nice on the bust. I am now making sure it all fits well. It's the same length for both the lining and the fabric, and pinning every side seams and notches to each other. Now we have a front piece. Now moving on with the sleeve, I'm going to sew a half an inch channel on the top and the bottom of the sleeve so I can pass through the elastic for the hem of the sleeve and the shoulder. The sleeve will serve as the shoulder seam at the same time, so it's all in one piece. It's pretty straightforward, this pattern. This is what I liked with it. It's really easy and quick to sew and understand. It can easily be done in one evening. I did it in 4 hours, so I was pretty happy with it. I have decided to not use pin to do this. I am folding the fabric around half an inch as I sew along, because it was too difficult to make the pin stay in the fabric because of the holes in the tulle, but it went pretty well this way. I am now sewing the underarm seam on each pieces of the sleeves. I make sure to leave an opening on the bottom and the top of the seam so I can pass through the elastic. Now that I am done sewing the underarm seam, I am going to do the same thing for the bottom of the sleeve. I'm sewing a half an inch channel all around the sleeve so I can pass through the elastics. To figure out the length of elastic I needed for the bottom of the sleeve, I've measured around my bicep and added half an inch to make sure that I have enough room to sew the elastics together. I am now attaching it to a safety pin and passing through the safety pin in the channel. That way we can attach both of the ends together and close the channel afterwards. It's the same principle for the top of the sleeve. I will be repeating the same process for the top of the sleeves and the second sleeve. So we're just passing through the elastic in the channel with the safety pin. I really like this method. It's really easy and fast. You just have to make sure that your channel is big enough to have the safety pin and the elastic pass through, but otherwise there shouldn't be any problem with this technique. I am now attaching the puff sleeve. Look at those, oh my god, they're so cute, so puffy. Now attaching the puff sleeves to the bodice top, and make sure to secure the elastic at the end so it won't unravel before sewing it to the bodice. Just realized the camera angle is not that great. I will definitely change that for the next videos. I'm sorry you cannot see very well. I am now sewing the sleeves to the bodice, as you can see on the top of the bodice, matching the notches. In the pattern you have indicative notches of where to sew each end of the elastic, so that's what I'm doing. Now clipping the thousands of threads that are hanging out with all the channel, the elastic, the seams and everything, and passing through a second time. There's a lot of threads to clip, but it's important to do it so your garment will look professional. And now moving on to basting the top fabric with the lining of the bodice, so the bodice will be ready to receive the gathered skirt. There's a lot of fabric on the skirt, so I think it's a good idea to baste the two fabrics together so it will stay all in place when you will attach the big poof skirt. Now that we are all finished with the bodice, let's move on to the skirt. Let's begin the joyful process of gathering 5 meters of skirt. So right now what I'm doing is that I'm running through separate rows of gathering stitches on the main fabric in the satin fabric. Make sure to have a full bobbin when you begin to do that, because you don't want to run through your bobbin and realize that you have sewn the half of the skirt without any thread. That happened to me, so you don't want to do that. And now that I am done with the gathering stitches. I will just take the bobbin thread and pull it and gathering the fabric at the same time with my left hand, and just be careful that you don't pull too hard and rip the thread off. You want to be careful and be delicate with it, because trust me, it's a real pain if you break the thread in the middle of the skirt, because you need to either gather it by hand and with pins, or just redo it all over again. So be careful with it, be gentle. Let's try the skirt! I just want to see how it fits, how it will look with all the gathers. Ooh. I'm not used to have the fullness of the skirt just underneath the bust. Usually I'm used to like this skirt, it's at my natural waist. But this style, it's underneath the bust, like empire waist. The length will be fine. Oh, I think it's going to look so cute. Now that I know the skirt fits well and is the right length, I'm just attaching the satin layer and the tulle layer together with a gathering stitch to make my life easier when I will attach it to the bodice. There's a lot of thickness and layers, so it's easier than using pins, and it's safer too. Here is the finished bodice with the sleeves. I'm already so in love with it. It looks so nice. So it's basically like 3 pattern pieces, the center front, the side front, and one for the back, and you have only 2 pieces for the sleeves. It's pretty simple. Took me like 2 hours to do that. I've lined it with satin, and now I'm ready to attach the skirt. It's all sewn. I hope it won't here's a get. I hope it won't be too heavy for the top, because there's no boning. I didn't have any structure, so, and tulle and satin is pretty flimsy, so we'll see. Now it's time to sew the skirt on the bodice. I am now attaching and fitting the gathered skirt to the bodice, making sure that everything sits nicely. The gathering skirt is not all bunched up in the seam, making sure I'm not pinning only one layer of the skirt fabric. And I'm sorry again with the weird angle. I will make sure to correct that for the next video. You can see the back of my head mostly. So here I'm only basically pinning along the bottom edge of the bodice and the top edge of the skirt where I've gathered all the fabric together. Now attaching the skirt to the bodice for real this time. To me it's really rare. It's the most exciting part because you can really see how the dress is going to look, and it's and you know that when you're attaching both pieces together, it's you're closer to the end, and your project is almost done. So I am with a regular stitch length, I'm making sure that no fabric gets caught underneath the machine. I'm taking my time removing the pins along the way so I don't get my needle caught in it. And when you have a giant gathered skirt like that, just make sure to check every now and then to check underneath your fabric like I do with my hand. I make sure to lift the fabric and just push at my left all the excess fabric to make sure it doesn't cut underneath the foot. It can happen quite often, so it's very frustrating when you are done sewing and you need to rip your stitch off because you have cut an under layer under your foot, and you don't want that. And as I sew, I'm making sure that the gathering is laying flat
underneath the bodice, so there's no bunch in the seam.
Oh my goodness, I just finished attaching the skirt and I'm obsessed. I mean, how cute is that? It's so cute, oh my god. It's so fluffy and it's so poofy. I will feel like I'm a doll or something. Oh my god, I just love it. And the cool thing is about tulle is that you don't need to hem it. So I just cut it like that and it's almost done. It needs a zipper. And we're finished. I can't wait to wear it. It's gonna be so cute. This is the back.
Now time to sew the zipper in. So when it's time for zipper, you know that you are almost done. It's very nice and exciting. So basically what I did is I have pressed my seam off camera with the iron and a cloth on top of it, so I won't melt the tulle. And now what I'm doing is I'm pinning one side of the zipper with the folded edge on top of it. This way it will give it a nice finish. I couldn't do a lap zipper. This is my preferred method when working with difficult fabric. I am always beginning to sew the zipper with the left side on the right side of the dress so I can see what I'm doing. I'm also making sure to sew pretty close to the zipper teeth, but not too close that the zipper won't open or close. And I'm removing the pin along as I'm going. I'm making sure to keep the fabric flat because it's pretty difficult since I'm sewing with two separate fabrics that are not attached together. And I'm doing this all the way through the end. I am now removing this side and pinning the waist seam so I can match it with the other waist seam. That's another trick that I find very useful. So this way you are always sure that your fabric and your waistline will be your waistline seam will be always aligned, and also you won't end up with one side of the dress will be higher up on the zipper and the other side will be lower. I'm sure it had happened to you once in your sewing lifetime. But this way I'm making sure that since everything is pinned and I know I have this little guide, I know where to sew to make sure that everything is aligned. So I'm repeating the same process as with the left side but on the right side, and I'm pinning and making sure everything is aligned and flat. I forgot to pin and sew the bottom of the skirt, so I'm just doing that before I'm attaching the other side of the zipper. So basically it's a straight stitch from the bottom from the end of the zipper or where you want your zipper to end. My zipper was too long, so I'm just going to cut it so it won't show. So basically what I'm doing is I'm running a straight stitch until the end of the skirt. And after that I will continue with my zipper duty.
The dress is finally finished! Oh my god, you guys, I'm so happy of the outcome. It came out exactly like I pictured it. Now that I'm wearing it, I don't want to take it off. As you saw in the video, it is a pretty straightforward pattern and a quick make. It took me about only 4 hours to sew it, and I would say that it's pretty reasonable for this kind of dress. I will surely make more and more dresses out of this pattern. I mean, I love it so much. I want to make one for spring and summer in light cotton fabrics. A cute 60s flower power pattern fabric will be super cute. I can't wait to make another one. Please let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions. I think that the only modification I would do to the pattern would be to make the sleeves even bigger to balance the silhouette with the full skirt. Otherwise, I wouldn't change anything. Thank you so much to have watched my first ever YouTube video. Please bear with me while I'm getting used to speaking to the camera and to the mic. I will surely work hard to be better and make better quality videos, but it was my first time and I'm getting used to all the YouTubes and the Premiere Pro editing and everything. So please, if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you want to see more vintage style dressmaking, and I will see you in the next video. Au revoir, my dearies!